Hello everyone. My name is Kalani. I'm a new Night Brothers correspondent. Welcome to tonight's show where we discuss healthy ways to improve your lives. We have a super dope show lined up for you tonight and hope you enjoy our content. We know you are a loyal viewer and want to see the show grow. So I ask that you do me a quick favor and subscribe to KBS YouTube channel shown on the screen. Also scan the QR code on the screen where you can make a donation of any amount to support us. And oh yeah, thanks to the best audience on the internet.
Yeah, thanks, Kalani. Definitely. What's up, gentlemen?
How you doing tonight? How's everybody doing?
What's up, fellas? How's everybody? Night.
Big up.
Rainy night.
Morgan Nick and Darlene Collins and Squirrel Queen. Peace and love, y'all. Appreciate y'all jumping in right off the break.
Ryan Rooks, welcome to the show, my brother. Good to have you on board with us. Going to be a good one, so everybody strap in. And once again, this is the show where your opinion matters. So don't as we move forward with the show, we look forward to hearing from you because your opinion matters.
Indeed.
No doubt. Well, fellas, look, we're back at it again. Starting this show, doing a little something different here because we're primarily a health-based show with social issues that we speak about. But today we're diving deep into the political arena as we do a three-part series. Today, obviously, our first part series 1, of a political roundtable that leads to the countdown to the 2024 election. We want people to be informed, know the issues, know what's going on, and be able to participate. Do your civic duty, participate, be knowledgeable, vote, and help others to vote. Encourage others to vote. Look, Captain Jenkins, thanks for joining tonight.
Jenkins.
Sure.
Yes, appreciate you.
And Ryan, I apologize. I thought you. I'm glad. Ryan said, "No, Ryan said I'm a girl. I'm a female." Welcome, Ryan.
Yeah.
Appreciate your
Welcome,
presence.
Ryan.
For that.
This is about the time of the show where we encourage you to share this on your page, so your friends can see what's going on and know what they might be missing, particularly with some great guests on tonight.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a lot of fun, but at the same time, we're gonna dive into some really good issues. All right, Joy Walker, thanks for joining in as well. And we got Joy Walker Q.
All right, hey Joe, how you doing? Welcome to the show, Joe.
What's up, Joy?
Hey.
Big brother Armand.
What's good, Bridget?
How you doing? All right.
So look, without further ado, we're gonna keep things moving a little faster tonight, so we can get to our stellar panel of guests that we have on to really dive into things. So, fellas, is that okay with y'all?
Let's
sir.
do
Let's
it.
make it happen, brother.
All
Let
right,
people
all
know all
right,
of it.
all right.
Peace and love, y'all. Look, we're going to keep it really moving. We appreciate your presence. Please type in your questions, your comments. We're whatever you have to share, even some of the answers to the questions. I want to know your opinion as always. That's the most important, indeed. So let's keep it pushing. And next, because we have a lot to cover tonight.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. What's up, everybody? Only one beverage on tap tonight, but this one is going to taste good going down. So tonight, we're going to dive into our roundtable series, three-part panel discussion, leading to the election. We have a great group of panelists who are about to join us in a second here. Guys, we don't want to make them ready to get started. We don't want to get started. With that being said, back to you, Lenny. Let's get it hot.
All right, brother, we're going to get this thing moving.
I hope you were ready. Thanks for joining us for an electrifying night of political discourse on the Knight Brothers Show, Political Roundtable. We're diving deep into the 2024 election with three phenomenal guest panelists. Let us introduce our panel. They're each ready to share insightful conversation with you. So here's the background of our panelists Melissa Klink, Kelly Williams, and Janice Jones-Oden. Born in Los Angeles, California, Kelly Williams has known candidate Kamala Harris since his time in the San Francisco area. Kelly has dedicated over 25 years to public service. From the White House to the D.C. Council, Kelly's journey is one of resilience and commitment. As a White House appointee under President Bill Clinton, an elected D.C. Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner, and a board member at Covenant House Greater Washington, he has served at every level of government. Kelly is not just a public servant, but also a community leader, restaurant owner, and founder of the Anacostia Heights Community Credit Union. His experiences are certainly diverse. They include living out of his car and caring for his elderly mother. His life experiences help drive his advocacy for the many communities of D.C. Next up, Melissa Klink, who's no doubt about it is a powerhouse organizer and activist from Georgia. As the first female president of the Students for a Progressive Society at the University of North Georgia, Melissa brought progressive ideals to a conservative stronghold. She has been a vital member of the Forsyth County Democratic Party, serving as its chair since 2016. Her firm, Klink Creative Strategies, excels in political organizing and consulting, driving success in campaigns and community initiatives. Melissa's dedication to community policing, overdose prevention, and harm reduction showcases her commitment to creating positive change. Next, we have Janice Jones-Oden, who is the founder of Oden Strategic Design Group, a consulting firm that empowers organizations and emerging leaders. With nearly 2 decades of experience, Janice has been a key player in educational leadership, financial services, and coalition building. As the executive director of Maryland Can and co-founder of the DC Education Coalition for Change, she has championed educational and political reforms. Currently serving as the city administrator of New Carrollton, Maryland, Janice is a skilled relationship builder and GOTV expert, contributing to the historic gubernatorial campaign of Maryland's first African-American governor.
All right. So welcome our panel to the show, audience. Y'all drop a 1 in the chat group, or just say welcome to one of your friends that you see on the Knight Brothers show. But we want to extend our warm wishes to the panel.
Indeed.
Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Thank you
for your time.
Your expertise and your service that you've already rendered. I mean, bottom line, definitely appreciate that. And that's why we're here.
Yes, indeed. Let me just ask y'all a general question, panel. It's not one of our questions for the segments, but are y'all excited yet? Y'all getting excited about what's going on? What y'all seeing?
I'm super excited. I am super excited. This is an incredible time to be in this space. So really excited.
Yeah.
I'm right
Absolutely.
there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh
Mike.
man. So Michael, you're out of what area are you in where you're gauging the level of excitement that you're dealing with in what part of the world?
I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm in Ward 8.
All right, brother. Yes,
Wow.
sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right in the heart of the action.
How's the mood out there?
Yeah.
Is it still kind of, just starting to perk up or what?
Well, it's DC, so we're accustomed to having, excitement and having everything happen here in the nation's capital. So, I think sometimes we take it for granted because we're right here in the heart of it, that we have to recognize, the importance and how impactful not only we can be as a unit, but what's going on across the country. So, my people around here are pretty excited. They've been talking about, the fresh energy that Kamala's bringing. So everyone's getting involved. They're getting ready.
Beautiful.
Getting ready. I hear you, my brother. Getting ready. I love it.
Breath of fresh air.
How about down in Georgia?
Yeah.
Listen, how about down in Georgia? What's happening down there? What's the feel? What's the feel?
Things are have been exciting now for I think about 2 weeks. I think that's where we are. I'm right there with Janice. I'm so excited to be in this space right now. It's really been impactful to be a part of this movement and kind of see where we were just a few weeks ago, and the people that are wanting to get involved and are contacting us. So it's been incredible.
Awesome.
All right, well, let's dive into this roundtable.
Hold on, Q. We got to
One
get
more
Janice.
person, pump your brakes, bro.
Okay, you
where
gonna
you
put
hailing
Maryland
from?
girl over
Not
here? Don't
forgetting
forget
you.
your home girl.
We not forgetting you.
I'm sorry. How can I do that?
I'm just kidding. No, I feel like people are just gung ho at this point, as Melissa and Kelly stated. I mean, the past 2.5 weeks have literally just shifted everything, and I think people are revved up. People who hadn't anticipated being revved up are excited and ready to make this thing happen. So we're really excited over here in Anne Arundel County.
Amen.
Beautiful.
I apologize. Amen.
That's all right.
Any of y'all see this coming?
Didn't even see this coming.
Hey, I'm just throwing it out there. No, I did personally.
I don't think anybody could have
What a
been
difference! 3 weeks. What a difference 3 weeks makes.
Exactly.
What I told everybody was that I was a delegate that have pledged to vote for Joe Biden, and the only person who can change that was Joe Biden, and he is the person who changed that. So now I'm gonna follow his advice on who to support next. So that's what we're doing.
That's it.
That is a great answer. That was a great answer.
Well, thank you. And I did get the sign for Kamala. So we've already signed in Georgia. All of our delegates have signed in support of her. So we are super excited for that.
Go Georgia. Somebody put that up there. Somebody said, go Georgia.
Yes. Ryan, thank you for being on the show tonight. I
We
appreciate
need
you.
you. We need you, Melissa. We need you down there. So look, we're gonna set some ground rules. We got 7 people on the screen. There's a lot, but we can do this, y'all. We can do this. When we do this, we win. That's what I heard from some lady that was from. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna win tonight. Let me just kind of throw the rules out there so the audiences know. Look, we're gonna have what we call our 4 rules of engagement. Just common sense due to time restrictions. We can't have every panelist respond to every question. So we're going to do our best to get as much in as possible. But number 2, what's going to happen? The host or one of the hosts will ask a primary question direct it to one of the panelists and ask for a quick follow-up from another panelist so we can engage as many opinions as possible about the question. Number 3, we're going to have a 3-minute clock up on the board today. We need this for our other shows so we get crazily ridiculous. And the time, there is an exception though. If somebody interrupts you or the audience asks you a question, you get allotted more time. So, okay, so that's how that's going to work. And then when we're getting close to the 3 minutes, you'll hear a distinguishing sound from Arden, who will be the timekeeper. So the panelists should try to wrap up their question. Arden, you got a distinguishing sound for everybody? Okay, all right, that's the distinguishing sound. So do it again, Arden.
Hey, we might start with the clap. If you keep on going, we're going to hit you with the horn.
All right, so look, first segment is the Harris impact on the Democratic Party. We're going to kind of go back from when Joe President Biden kind of made his decision and kind of work our way chronological, methodically up to where we are now. So I know we're excited about today, but let's kind of go back. It's how do we get here type of thing. All right, so Q, you start it off.
Come, please. Could you turn the music down so they can hear the questions and everything, please? Okay, let's get this thing going. Mike and Melissa, first question. In what ways has the Harris candidacy revitalized the Democratic base? I mean, you see there's a lot of energy now. So, Mike, I'll ask you to dive into that first, and then Melissa, you can follow up on it. But just tell us, how do you think that it's impacted the race so far?
Well, thank you for the question. I just want to apologize to you, Melissa. He told me to go first, so that's the only reason why I'm doing it. Okay.
I was going to let you go first, so go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
DC.
I think the way it's energized the base is you have to recognize that the Democratic base is Black women. And so she epitomizes exactly what they have been always fighting for and advancing the Democratic Party to get to. And that is, equity, equality, and understanding the value base of their vote and understanding who and who they've supported and why they've been there and stuck with the party so long. We hear so much about Black men leaving or going here or going there, which I don't believe is true to the extent that they're trying to make it. But she's young, she's vibrant, she's smart, she's educated, she's powerful. Like they said, she's been tried and tested. What most people don't recognize and understand is that when she was running for a DA in California, San Francisco, she jumped into the race and did her poll, and she got 6%. And her motto was, if we can just get to 12, we can win. Now, many of us on this, Melissa, Janice, and I myself, anybody knows that if you do a poll and you get 6%, there's going to be questions about whether or not you should run or not. They're going to be talking to you about stepping out. Her parent was like, you know what? Let's do it. All we got to do is get to 12% and we can win this thing. And she got to 12% and won. So that's the kind of vice president that we have. And that's the kind of individual we have running right now for president that's going to push forward and make it to the point where even though she's an underdog now because of the politics out there, being a Black woman, being the first Black woman, and the same thing they said about Barack Obama, watch what she does. Watch how she galvanizes and push forward. And you'll see exactly why that 6% turned into victory, not only at the city level as a district attorney, but the attorney general level, the U.S. Senate level, and then VP. Watch what happens.
Melissa, I'm asking you to follow up on that a little, if you would. If you just give us a minute or so on that.
Yeah, so I would definitely agree that the energy has changed. We opened an office for the Harris campaign Sunday. We had over 300 people there. And there's something I can't hear.
If just real quick, if everybody that's not
I will say that so the phone number that goes to our county party is a Google number that comes to my phone. So I'm getting all of the phone calls who want to get involved. I literally got a phone call today right after she announced that she would be adding waltz to the people. And people were asking if we had stickers and signs already. I was like, they just announced it. We'll need a little time to get those together for you guys. But I'm so excited that people are looking to do that. We're in a really red area, and I think that I'm seeing so many people come out for the office opening and seeing so many people in support of that, and the being able to show people that we are Democrats here. We are loud. We are proud. We want to grow. We get all the time that they don't realize that there are Democrats here in Forsyth County, and then we just grow. We get bigger and bigger, and I can't put a number on how many people have asked to do things in the last 2 weeks. I will say that I helped manage a Georgia for Biden Facebook group, and now it's a Georgia for Harris Facebook group. And I think that I've lost track, but I think we're at like 2,000 new people, new women who have signed up since Harris announced that she would be the one running. So it's been pretty amazing to see just the grassroots organic organizing that's come behind this, and Black women are leading the way, and they have led the way, and I can't wait to support them and follow them up so we can win this together.
Awesome. You did that with 26 seconds to spare. Y'all amazing. I knew that was good, but I didn't know both of y'all was that good.
I saw I was under the clock. I was like, I better speed it up.
Professional speakers.
The woman, the madam from Georgia yields her time. All right, Art, you up.
Hey, Janice, talk about the difference in policy and leadership style from Biden, um, and how Harris can use her background, state prosecutor, uh, former senator, to build a platform and govern as nominee.
I think that's a fantastic question, Arden. And first of all, when we talk about the Biden Harris sort of brand, they have complemented each other this entire 3.5 going on 4 years, right? And so when we think about the differences, I would say you think about the work that Joe Biden has done over 50 plus years in this country and the ways that he's sort of worked up the ladder and has been someone who has really prioritize, bringing people together. I think that is also similar to the leadership style of Vice President Harris. And when we think about the folks, his base, I was listening in on, there was a talk show on like last week, and we're talking about the different, bases or whatever. And so when you think about Biden, the folks that got energized by him may not be as energized by Kamala. And so you have different bases. It's not a bad thing, but the thing that I see it is an opportunity in terms of who she appeals to. Folks are laughing and say, "Oh, she had is it the Meg the Stallion? Was it in the Atlanta?"
Stallion,
and
yeah.
they're like, "Why did she do that?" And I'm like, she's appealing to a different base. So I think that even in that opportunity there, you see that Vice President Harris can appeal to a broad base. And has done so very, very swiftly. I think in her role as a prosecutor, just incredible leadership, the way that she thinks, the way that she is methodical, and the way that she puts together things. I cannot wait until there is a debate because that will just be something that we will all enjoy.
I can't wait for
right?
that.
I can't wait. Listen, and he is certainly not interested
Absolutely.
in seeing her on the debate floor, right? But I think that they both complemented each other, and what I find to be most intriguing about Vice President Harris and her new role, soon to be President Harris, is the fact that she really, really embraces everybody, that she really, really sees America in a way that we all should see it. And that is based around inclusivity. And I think that they both have done that. And so they haven't left anyone behind. And I'm excited about what she's going to continue to do as she, over these next, 90 plus days before she wins this thing. So really excited about that.
All right. Yes, indeed.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. We got 39 seconds. Any one of you, Michael, or would you prefer to be called Michael or Kelly?
You can call me Michael.
Michael. Any one of you guys want to follow up to that?
Go ahead, Michael.
I would just say that, like Jenny says, you can see how her introduction into the campaign as the top of the ticket has just, sort of groundswell across the Democratic Party and across the country. When you have $200 million raised, when you have Black women, Black men, white women and white men for Kamala getting on Zooms and 300,000 people breaking the Zoom network, that's just showing you exactly how exciting, how powerful she's going to be and how she can carry this. I was watching the announcement of the vice president or the running mate, and you saw in the audience all these young kids. They're just young white students that are out there saying, I'm on board. So it's that same coalition that Obama built in 2008 that's coming back to join Kamala, Vice President Harris, in the same manner.
Yes,
and if I may, to Michael's point, I get chills thinking about that night when 40,000 women joined a Zoom, and at first we couldn't get on the Zoom, and everyone was texting in the group like, "Girl, did you get on the Zoom?" And I'm trying. It was almost 1:30 in the morning, and I was in my bed, but I was still on. I was still engaged because it was a moment. It was a moment to remember. It was a moment to energize. It was a moment to say, "Hey, that the tide has changed, and we are moving this train forward." So. It was definitely something that I think, set the tone, as Michael said, to see all these other groups get behind Vice President Harris for a candidacy. So,
wow, you were on the Zoom, huh? Wow.
Oh, I was there.
Next.
I can only imagine.
It was powerful.
And the men's Zoom was good as well. We had a good time on there. We had men crying on the Zoom.
Wow.
Wow.
Hold on,
White
brother.
Zoom was
Hold
great.
on, brother. I don't want to gloss over that. Michael, what did you say? What did you say?
We had brothers crying on the Zoom. Yeah, we had men that was on there talking that were so emotionally charged that, you know, this is a moment and we cannot miss this moment. It's just like Obama. It was a moment. And
Yes.
with Obama, however, most black folks was waiting to see if white folks were going to accept him. And then once he won Iowa, everybody jumped on board. As you remember, Black Caucus didn't move until Iowa.
Yeah.
Once Iowa happened, then the Black Caucus moved. They weren't moving before then. But in this case, they were like, we're not waiting. We're jumping on board right now. Black, white, red, brown, yellow. Everybody jumped on board. So the brothers was on there talking about the power and the impact that she's going to have and what they're having, what she's having right now. I mean, you had brothers crying on the Zoom, man.
Wow.
It's a lot at stake. It really is. So I can definitely understand.
How many people were on your
powerful.
Zoom? I know this sounds scripted. How many people was on that Zoom?
We had, I think the men had about 30,000. I think we had about 30,000 on the Zoom.
Wow. That's amazing. You and Janice part of history, man. Good Lord. Okay. Q, it's on you, Q. What you gonna do, Q?
Okay, well, let's go to the next set of questions if we could. This one is for you, and you know what? Because you got in my case last time, I'm gonna flip it around. Melissa, you're gonna go first this time. Listen, the question is this, though: how will the Harris candidacy influence the election in crucial swing states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, Michigan, and some of the others, Arizona, Nevada, so on and so forth, North Carolina? What kind of influence do you think the Harris candidacy will have in those swing states? And will it impact the voter turnout among young voters, first-time voters, and people of color? Melissa, I'll let you go first, and then Mike, you come in after her if you would.
Well, the steal from Michael, I think he's exactly right. I think we're seeing the Obama coalition come together, and it's coming together organically. So that's what's been so exciting about it, is that the Black Women's Call actually was a call that already happened. Like, it's a regular call that's set up. I had lots of friends who were on that call, and they had the same feelings as Janice. They were like, it's 2 a.m., but I don't want to get off this phone. And other people followed suit after that. And I've seen with the way that she looks at the issues and the way that Kamala talks about the issues, that that first timers are excited to actually get engaged. I think that TikTok has kind of exploded with young people. I've got friends who tell me their teens are very involved, and they watched the debate. They had opinions about the debate, and then they have opinions about Kamala taking the realm now. So I think when Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan all flip blue in 2020, I think that we'll be able to continue to secure that. I think that's just going to continue to grow. And Minnesota, of course, was blue as well. I don't see that that's going to change. I think that this momentum is not going to let up. We've only got I think we're at 95 days left to go. And we're sitting pretty high. We're not at all resting on our laurels by any means. We know that we still have to do the work. We still have to continue to talk to people. We have to talk to the people at the grocery store. We have to talk to the people in line with us. We need to make sure that we're talking about politics and where we want this country to go. And so that other people feel empowered to talk about that too. I think that this is exactly the ticket that we need to make sure that we defeat fascism again and keep Donald Trump far away from the White House ever again.
Awesome.
Awesome.
I had to give you a clap on that. I had to give you you know what I mean? Because that was what'd you say? Defeat fascism. That's hard to say. It's kind of a tongue twister. Say it one more time.
Defeat fascism. Well, I saw, I read something earlier today, and I really agreed with it. It said that there's a negative populism that you get with 45 and Vance, and they really focus on that negativity. And I think that Harris and Waltz really focus on that positive populism. And I think that is really, I think people are tired of the vitriol. I think they're ready to see people govern. I think they're ready to see their lives improve, and that we rely on, government at all levels. Michael knows that well, and so does Janice, to make our lives better. I think a lot of people get the negative connotation that government is going to make their lives harder, but really government is supposed to make your life better.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
All right, let me reset the clock for you, Mike.
Oh, did I take all the time? Sorry.
No, you're good.
It was 30 seconds.
Well, I think Melissa said it great. What Vice President Harris has done is really done something organically that you can't, you could not script it if you had Steven Spielberg trying to draw it up. It wouldn't have worked. This happened in a way that just naturally was there, and I have to say I love the way Joe Biden put it in place, because when they were calling for him to move out, they were not calling for Harris to move up. They were calling for the whole ticket to move out, right? They were looking for somebody else to come in. But Joe was like, okay, I may leave, but here's what's going to happen. I'm a transition president. I'm a transition to my VP. And by doing so, he forced the party and everyone around to really take note and look at and realize all the things that they were saying previously had to change. And when she came out, and as she's shown herself in the last 2.5, 3 weeks, she is prime and ready to lead and do exactly what she did as DA, as Attorney General, as Senator. And the idea that Trump won't come out and is scared to come out is great. I think Janice and I both as candidates, speaking from the heart, the way she does, is a passion that comes across in her words, and how Melissa was talking about what she's saying and how she's articulating those positions and those policies and what she wants to do and how she wants to lead. It resonates with everyday people, resonates with everyone across income lines, across educational lines, across racial lines, demographics. Everywhere she's talking, it's coming across. And I think what you're going to see now that she's picked Governor Tim Walz, you see it in him as well. You see that same type of genuine presentation and discussion with the regular folks. And so you're going to see a continual groundswell of support that's going to continue. That, like I said, they don't know when it's going to stop, and it's not going to stop until November 6th, after it's all said and done.
Wow. Great.
Awesome.
Kenny, I think you up for a question, brother.
Yes, I'm up, my brother. I'm going to shoot my first question to Janice. What challenges might Kamala have appealing to all women, including conservative women, moderates, independents, who may have different priorities and reservations about her candidacy? Pretty much getting people off the fence. Give us a little shout out.
So, Kenny,
I
think that's an incredible question, and I think many of us have been thinking about deeply. And I know it's not the first time that a woman has ran for a president. When I think about the legacy of Shirley Chisholm, I think about all of the pieces that were connected to her and why people just felt like because she was a woman that she wouldn't be successful. And so as a country, I think it's bigger than just women. I think it's just people in general wrapping their minds around a woman leading our country. And so when we think about women, there are some components of just womanhood that we all hopefully resonate together. But there are just some people who, and I'll just name a thing, who have racist tendencies, and they are quite clear and rhetoric that has been out in the past week and a half about her being ignorant, about her not being educated, about her not having a track record of success. So those are some of the talking points that people have put out there. So regardless, Kenny, to your point of how do we bring folks together, I think she can wave the banner and wave the banner and wave the banner. But some people have their minds made up. Now, to folks who are on the fence because they, may have had questions about her tenure as a prosecutor, I think that, time and without number, people have been trying to convey that, listen, that narrative is not actually true. When you look at a D.L. Hughley who came on publicly and apologized for saying negative things, and he knew that they were not accurate, he apologized. And so I think it's important that those folks who can be heavy surrogates for her do the heavy lift for her, because as much as she can try to change some of those folks who are on the fence, it will take the community who has, skin in the game to say, hey, listen, this is actually who she is, and we need to rally behind her. So, Kenny, to your question, I think she can win folks over, but it's going to take men. It's going to take everybody to say, listen, she is our person. We will champion her candidacy to be the next president of the United States.
Great answer.
Wow.
Great answer.
Melissa.
Yes. So I think that reproductive rights and freedom is going to be something that we're going to need to use. It's
Yes.
something that we've used locally to make sure that we've even reached out to lean Republican women and said, we would like you to support our side this time. And the reason why is it's because it's supporting you. As much as a woman might be consider herself conservative, she's still at risk for ectopic pregnancy. She's still going to be wanting to have IVF treatments if she can't conceive on her own. And those are the kinds of things that we need to make sure that we're talking to women about, especially women, to talk to them about their children and their grandchildren, for them to have the right that they were afforded. And what we know is that one of the messagings that we used was freedom. And really, at the end of the day, do you need the government telling you what to do with your body, what you can do with your body, or what you can't do with your body? There's not a single law out there that legislates what happens to a man's body, what he can or can't do with it. It's not fair. It's not freedom. And I think that we need to continue to beat that drum, because it doesn't change from election to election. And we need to put Kamala back into the White House as the president. And then we need to do as much as we can to make sure that we can make change at a congressional level so that we can unify.
Yes, indeed.
Wow. Great answer.
Great answer.
Great answer. Both of you. Awesome.
Move forward.
Who's up next?
Trump and this question goes up to you, Michael, and to you, Janice. Trump and the RNC seem to be searching for a response to the Harris nomination. They're trying to tag her with something, and they're struggling with trying to do that. They're attacking her ethnicity, turning black, attacking her intelligence, labeling her a DEI candidate, and etc. Can that be a winning, effective strategy for them, or are they only speaking to their face when they do that? I'll start with you, Janice.
So, you watch this stuff, and I was so disturbed when I watched Trump on stage at the National Association of Black Journalists conference, where he felt very comfortable in talking about and speaking to a black journalist in the tone in which he did. And so I think what it does, it actually makes the Republican Party look very scared. They look shifty, like you don't really have much to say. You were hopeful for other outcomes, but now what you see is a very energized base. I often tell folks that the Republican Party, they had lots of energy, but very, very, I would say, not really quality policies. And then at one point, to be frank, as the Democratic Party, we have great policies, but we didn't have the energy. And I think the energy has revved up. And so people are intimidated. People are afraid. So I think actually when you say things like a DEI hire or, all of those different things, I think it continues to show the very sickening racial divide that continues to be pervasive in our country. And for people who are on the fence, I think it helps them to see, as we'll talk about with Project 2025, some of the tenets of those racist things that they want to abolish DEI practices, as they call it, but they want to, go back 50 and 60 years. So I think it doesn't help them. I think it hurts them.
Well, Michael, could you dive into that?
I agree. I think the GOP playbook is the same playbook every 4 years. It's the same playbook every 4 years. It's just somebody else saying it. And they'll say it the same. It's like, KSAs for the federal government job. They ask you the same questions 3 different times, right? 3 different ways, but it's the same damn question. And that's the Republican GOP. They're going to try to divide the electorate, especially on the Democratic side, between African Americans and Latinos, African Americans and Caucasians. They're going to try to divide. Their playbook is to divide and conquer, and that's what they do. And so what they are using is that same playbook that Trump tried to use against Obama, which carried through, right, in 2016, where Clinton couldn't get through because they started putting out all the stuff that Clinton was the one that locked up all the brothers, and Clinton was the one who did that. She was nowhere elected. She wasn't nowhere around to do that, but they still put that label on her, and it worked. And so it's a way to get their base riled up, because they know that the only thing they can use for their base is abortion, racial hatred, and bigotry, and guns. And so those are their three, go-tos. Every collection, you're going to hear them talk about abortion, you're going to hear them about guns, and then, well, they also put in LGBTQ, right? And then race. So those are the things that they use every single time, and Trump, Trump is the only ignorant one on there. Trump doesn't know. I mean, he said that he knew nothing about NATO. He says he knows nothing about the Constitution. He said he knew nothing about what happened or the power that he was supposed to have in the White House. He knew nothing about the nuclear codes and the fact that that button was so that it had traveled around with him everywhere he went. He didn't know any of these things. And so when you put someone in there as ignorant as he is, you have to be careful. You have to recognize that, as they were saying today, he's much smarter today than he was then. He's not any more intelligent. He's just smarter about how the process works, but he's still ignorant of the process. And that's a dangerous person that you have in there. When they don't understand the power of the power, it's the old saying that we say, I'm a brother with a gun. So, when we had the law enforcement, when we had black law enforcement officers, they say, I'm a brother with a gun, right? So you don't want to mess with me because I got power that I don't know how much I can use for.
Wow.
Deep. And it's deep.
That's a good point. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Definitely. Good answer.
Absolutely.
Let's go. Melissa, let me ask you, how damaging is the Republican response and narrative in the swing states where there's more of a diverse electorate, especially with Vance attacking VP Kamala Harris on being childless?
So I think it's going to be.
Wow.
I think, sorry. Yeah, I think it's already showing itself to backfire. I think I saw a tweet that said, I'm a conservative, but when I hear JD Vance's attacks on childless women, it lights a fire inside of me that I cannot explain. And I think that other women feel that way too, no matter if you have 4 children, have 1 child, have no children, don't want to have children. I think that women are not interested in pretty much a man's opinion on that fact. Or what they have to say about it. So honestly, I think that we continue to let them talk and say all these ignorant things, and we make sure that we're highlighting them as ignorant, and that will do everything that we need to get more people on our side, motivate them to go to the polls, because we just don't want someone this close to the presidency who carries these kinds of thoughts and this kind of hatred towards women. Women are capable of leadership. There's plenty of other countries that already have women in place as their prime minister or their president and things like that. And they're doing wonderfully, because women are uniquely talented in that regard, in being able to lead while also comforting, and also I don't think that this is going to be doing them any favors. And to Michael's point, when he was talking about all of the things that the ignorance that's kind of going out there, when Janice said the things that they're trying to say about Kamala's IQ, when I saw some of the social media posts about Obama, when I saw the American Jobs Act, and twice he tried to get that passed. I think for 8 years he tried to get the American Jobs Act passed. And I was watching the State of the Union and all of those things, and I said, it sounds like a great plan. I don't understand why people are attacking this man. And then it finally clicked with my white woman self that maybe it's racism, right? And I think that it took a while for me to realize, because I was like, this is a great thing. Like, he's a great leader. He's doing a great job as president. Why is there so much hate in these comments?
Right.
I think a lot of people are motivated like me. When they see a comment, maybe they're not going to comment on it, but if you see enough of that hatred, you're going to start looking into it and say, I don't understand where the vitriol is coming from. Why are we so hateful and mean? It doesn't seem like we're talking about policy. And I think that that's where other people start to open their eyes. And that's why I think that the best thing that we can do is continue to let 45 and Vance speak, make sure that American voters know what they're speaking, because they're doing our job for us. They have no idea how to combat Kamala, which is why they are trying to use anything that they can. And Tim Walz calling them weird is so on point, because one, they are weird. They are weird. They have been weird now for years, and their supporters are also weird. And two, I'm not weird. Like you say, I'm not weird. My family likes me. Like, there's no way to come back from you're weird. So I think that we're going to continue to use messaging like that. I think that Kamala's social media has been doing wonderfully as far as making sure that they call her out, come to one not wanting to vote her. I think that we need to keep hit hard, and continue to do that. Well, through election day, I think Democrats like myself, maybe like you guys too, are ready for someone who's going to stand up. And just being a Democrat doesn't mean you have to be passive. Being a Democrat doesn't mean you have to be soft. So we feel strongly about our policies. We think that they're better for the American people, and that's why we need to stand in that and say it with our whole chest.
That's right.
Right.
Janice,
Amen.
give me a follow up on that. I'm sure you got some.
Yeah, I mean, so much has been said, and I as I look back at the question, I was reminded today of why it's important to have allies across the aisle. Well, let me not say across the aisle, but let me just say it: white men who support Black women, thank you, because our VP candidate, he spoke today about this very thing we're talking about. He talked about how he and his wife struggled and with trying to have children, and they went through so much with like IVF and all those other things. And when he spoke about it, he was so passionate, and he talked about it in a way that really resonated with people in the room that looked like him. And I'm grateful, and I know we'll talk about the VP candidate, but I think that when he said that and the way that he sort of emphasizes a lot of the things, as a Black woman in the political space, I know that we are often second guessed. People, it is a hard way to go. And so I think Black women are so energized, but we are also keenly aware of what Kamala is going through, in the sense of people second guessing her ability to get things done because she's, a woman, and because she's a Black woman, all the other things that come with it. We've been deputized, in this space. And so I think her, just the energy, and then the support, and then in the ways in which this VP candidate has really, just in the last few hours, shown how he's going to support her. I think he said it's a meme that he put. I put it on my Facebook page, but if I may use the language, he said he wants Kamala to kick his ass and send him home. That's what he said. And I laughed, and I said, wait a minute, we got a real humdinger right here, okay? And I said, all right, I can get with him, because he's rugged, and I appreciate that. And this is we like you just said, Melissa, we can't be passive, we can't be humdrum. We have to get out here, because you know what? The GOP is getting out here. They're getting out here at the local level on our school board races and our judicial races, and they are not playing these games up and down the ballot. So bigger than our top of the ticket, we see it at the local level, and so we see all the games and the antics. And so, with her being at the top of the ticket as an African American woman with Asian heritage as well, I think that there are just so many things that people perceive. But I'm excited that she's going to move forth and really get this thing done, as she has already shown as a vice president.
And for mine, Q, let me add to that. I just want to put something out there for everybody to realize and recognize, because although we're talking about the racial vitriol and the attacks that the GOP is doing, I also want to make your listeners and viewers understand that if you go back to 1953, every Republican president since 53 has put this country in a recession and lost jobs. Every single one of them. So when you think about and you hear Republicans always talking about they're for tax cuts and they're going to make the economy better and everything else, every last one of them has sent our economy downward spiraling, increased our deficit and debt, and have lost jobs. Every single one of them. The only exception is Reagan, but his interest rate was 14%.
Oh my God.
That's right.
So right now, we're looking at a 6%, a 7% interest rate, and we're going crazy. Reagan had a 14%. You talk about inflation.
Yes.
Under Reagan, inflation was off the chart. But we have to have a historical perspective so we can help people understand why they're doing what they're doing. They have no policies to talk to the American people. They only have policies to talk to the rich and the wealthy. So when you have a candidate like a Kamala Harris, when you have a candidate like a Barack Obama or a Hillary Clinton or a Joe Biden, you have to attack them because you cannot debate them on the merits. You can't do it. Trump lost 20 million jobs. 20 million jobs in 2 years. Biden brought back 20 million jobs in 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Reduced our unemployment, gave us more money in our pocketbooks so that we can help pay for the inflation, even though it's still there, but we have more money in our pockets that we can afford to do it. Nobody's not going out to eat dinner. Nobody's not going to the movies. Nobody's not taking vacations because they still have the ability to do that.
And one of our viewers said that Bush was actually given a surplus from Clinton and blew it.
Exactly.
So the conservatives
was Trump. And so was Trump. Trump was given a surplus and blew it.
Brother Wainwright had a good point. Lenny, you might want to put that one back up on the screen.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Brother Wainwright. Pastor Wainwright, thank you for jumping on tonight. He says it's damaging in the areas with more of a diverse electorate. However, the Dems need to really zero in on J.D. Vance's rhetoric and stance to expose it, slam it hard. Anybody, Mike, you want to pick up on that since you was
Absolutely. J.D. Vance is a contradiction in his own body.
Correct.
You know, he's talking about, he's just a poor hillbilly, but then he goes to Yale. Now, he's a Clarence Thomas in white suit because Clarence Thomas also did the same thing.
That's right.
He's mad at Yale Law School because it's a liberal law school, but you took your ass to the law school. You could have went somewhere else. But now you want to come out as a conservative and talk about the old liberals. Mickey Flick, you're a liberal because you went to the Yale Law School because that's where you wanted to get your education from.
Oh my God!
So if you didn't want to go there, you should have went somewhere else.
Wow.
But that's what you do. So you want to talk about a hillbilly, you want to go to Yale, and then you want to write a book talking about the fact that you got all your money from the tech giant who spent all this money on you, but you want to talk about all the elites. You an elite.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about?
Thank you for that.
And you're right. Democrats have to hit him hard, and I think they will. And I like Governor Walz because I think Governor Walz will tear him apart. It would him or Shapiro would have torn them apart. And I think Walz has the ability to do so because he's a Midwesterner, that he's going to tear him down. You know how he say you can cuss somebody out without using a cuss word? He's going to strip him naked, and he won't even know his clothes is off.
Yeah. And we're all looking forward to it.
What I want to know about this is how can that impact this voter appeal in swing states? Do you think that'll work in swing states? Now, Melissa, I'm going to ask you to go first on that. Will having Tim Walz as the VP candidate affect swing states?
Well, just the switch from Biden to Kamala put Georgia back in play, and even more so with the switch with Walz. I think pretty much everything that we've all said. I think Michael had a good point. He is going to be able to. The way that I described him earlier today when I found out about him was that he has a very calm and very relatable demeanor about him. But he also, you can tell he doesn't put up with bullshit. You know what I mean? So
right,
and he'll call it. And I'm looking forward to him calling those things for what they are. I think that for too long, Democrats, especially at the top, have worried so much about being nice and kind and all of these things. I don't think that we need to worry about that anymore. I think we need to be truthful and we need to be honest and we need to bring those things to the American people. And I think that they're going to appreciate that. I think that was one of the things that people gravitated towards 45 for, because he was so off the cuff and he said what he thought. And I think we can do that in a way that's positive, productive, and will better people's lives. So I think we're already on track to do that. I'm super excited to see what's going to happen in the next few months. But it's going to go so quickly, literally in less than 14 days or something like that, I'll be at the convention. So it's just really exciting. I can't wait to be with all my people, and just kind of deciding what we're going to do from here. I locally here, I organize on the local level and then the county level and the district and also statewide. So just taking it nationally and just getting to talk to other people and seeing what works in their areas is going to be so amazing.
All right.
Yeah, Mimi Lee said it's echoing what you're saying. Melissa's saying one of her viewers, we have to work, fight, vote because we deserve it.
Amen.
She said, "Let's go dim." So I mean, because it is work, and
Yes.
Yes.
the
Trust
momentum.
me, it's work. It's work.
Yeah, you out there, y'all, the three of y'all out there working like crazy,
It's work.
and we thank y'all for
It's
that.
more than just showing up at the polls. It's
Yeah.
really, doing those door knocking, doing the phone calls, and donating and contributing.
Yes.
You know,
Take-
Vice President Harris had a hard time the first time because we don't raise, as Black candidates, we don't raise a lot of money. We don't get the benefit or ability to raise a lot of money because traditionally, your family and our family members, they're not going to contribute money to you just to go out there and run a campaign. They're not going to write you a check for $1,000 or $1,500 or $25 or whatever. They're like, well, wait a minute, I'm gonna give you money for what? And what am I getting? I'm just helping you. Nah, I ain't doing that. And we have to change our mindset. We have to recognize that by donating and contributing, we're promoting and pushing not only our agenda and our beliefs and our values, but we're also putting ourselves and getting a seat at the table. When you're not able to do that, you not, like the old saying, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. That's true because your information and your values aren't going to be discussed. When we think about Texacos and all these people, when they come out with a racist video or something like that, that's because nobody's Black at the table. There's nobody there at the table to actually discuss or tell them, nah, you can't do that. That's going to be offensive. You can't say that. That's going to be offensive. So we have to be at the table. We have to dig into our pocket the same way if we were going to a concert, to the golf course, to the movies or wherever else. And we got to put that money behind the candidate that we believe in, trust, or holds or has our values. Because when you think about it socially, economically, or politically, you can't separate those three.
That's right.
If there's a social issue, women's reproductive rights, there's an economic issue behind that. And there's a political issue behind that. If you think about voting rights socially, there's an economic and political issue behind that, right? Tax cuts, there's a social and political thing behind that, economic as well. So those three things you can't separate. I mean, from education to, getting rid of healthcare, all these things have a component that is a social impact, an economic impact, and a political impact. And most importantly, it's in our community. It's in our community, for white communities, Latino communities, Asian communities, because we are always impacted by it because we're not there. We don't show up. When we don't vote, when we're not participating in the process, we become the travesty of that. And then we end up bitch scrapping and complaining when we should have just shown up.
Right.
If we show up like Vice President Harris said, when we show up, we win.
You're so right, Michael, because that's when we want to get active. Because I remember when Trump won, then we had the March on Washington with all, everybody going down there. That's not the time to march.
It was too late.
Yes,
it was too late.
The time to march is now.
Right.
Now to get active and just voice your opinion strong right now.
And the one thing that we don't do and don't think about is legislatures make laws, but the courts interpret the law. And what we have not done is we have not paid attention to the courts and the court system from the county level, the state level, and of course the Supreme Court level, and federal judges. Federal judges have life appointments. And those 300 judges that Trump appointed, most of them didn't have law degrees.
Correct.
Most of them had never tried a case. Most of them had never, been in a courtroom, because unfortunately at that federal level, you don't necessarily need a law degree to be a federal judge.
That's one of the issues Arden always speaks about. My buddy Arden always speaks about those local level elections and how important they are. So that's very true. Yeah. So Arden, would you take this next question, please? Would you take this next question for me?
What's the historical significance of VP Harris as the first woman of color leading a major party? One, and how does this resonate with our current social and political climate? And what should be some long-term impacts of both parties? Can we start with you, please, Janice?
Absolutely. And before I dive into that, I just want to say, hopefully folks who are watching, I encourage everyone to go back and watch the vice president's initial speech at the rally today. One of the things I appreciate about watching that, Carl Snowden is an activist in Anne Arundel County. He says people watch clocks, I watch people. And I watched Kamala Harris have such ease when he was speaking. And I think it's important to note that. I want you all just to kind of go back and watch it because it kind of encapsulates a lot of what was just said. But I think as a team, they will really go far together. And I hope that, as we think about these next, few months together and what it'll look like, they, picking a vice president, that's hard. That's something that is deep in your heart. You're not just picking a workmate. This is someone that you have to really, truly get along with. So I thought that was significant. And to your point, the historical significance of her being the first woman of color. We've already talked a lot about this. She'll be the first woman in our country, ever. And I just,
right.
I think for children, my niece, my little cousins, those who are looking at her and saying, wow, this is going to happen in my lifetime. I think for me to see this happening in my lifetime, we thought it was going to happen in 2016, right? It didn't happen. The opportunity for this to be here, I think socially and politically, it is just going to shift the tide in the ways that other countries view us as a superpower, as she begins to demonstrate as a president what can be done. And, oftentimes people don't believe. They just, women work behind the scenes and get a lot of things done. But now she's going to be out front getting a lot of things done. And in terms of the long-term impacts for both parties, I think it just opens the floodgates. I mean, let people, not feel like, oh, because you're a woman that you won't have an opportunity to run. I hope that little children who are in elementary school in November and watching these votes come in get excited and say, oh my gosh, one day I could too be, a Kamala Harris or whatever. And so I think it's just opening up and moving us into a new direction in this country.
Janice, thank you for that answer, because as you were talking, it just made me think women has been a stronghold for the Democratic Party for so long. So dependable electorate that kind of helped them. And now, for a woman of color to have this chance, it's just, it's almost fitting. You know what I mean? In a way, it's almost fitting for her to get that nod and be the first one. But Melissa, follow up on that question. Same question, I guess.
Well, I think Janice kind of hit everything on the head already, especially with the historical significance. But I think it's important to also note that the racism, the sexism, and misogyny that she's going to be facing, and people who look like her are going to be facing for the next under 100 days, is going to be something that we really need to make sure we're paying attention to. As a society, the only thing, what we allow is what will continue, right? So we need to make sure that on our social media spaces, we're rejecting that kind of that dialogue. We need to make sure that in our workspaces, we're rejecting that kind of dialogue, that we're not allowing that to be the lead. And I think that's going to be really important, just as the society in general, and what we're going to accept. Because the memes that I saw like immediately when Kamala came out, just pure disgusting things that men would never have to deal with. I'm not even going to describe them. I'm just going to let you know that if she was a man, she would never have to worry about that kind of criticism. So I think just making sure that we're pulling together and we're saying that this is what we want our society to be like and we're okay with, and rejecting that racism, that misogyny and sexism altogether is going to be better for all of us, and especially our women in our lives and ourselves. And I think there was a second part to that question, and I might have missed it, and it's gone now.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We got plenty more questions for you. Don't worry about that. Like this one right here. Like this one right here, coming from Q.
Okay, listen. So much is going on. And this is this question I have for you guys. Because I've noticed some significant differences in the two camps, the two parties. What do you guys think is more effective? The Harris robust digital campaign, when you contrast it to Trump, who desires to have that live rally as his preference. In her first week of Zooms, they reached more than 300,000 participants and over 200 million in donations. So, Mike, I'm going to ask you to start with that first. What do you think is more effective? Which strategy do you find more effective and more efficient use of your time and resources?
Well, naturally, digital will be more effective in terms of resources and use of your time. but you also want to be able to get out and sort of touch the people and let them see you. In some cases, like the rally they had in Philadelphia today,
Yes.
that's how you're able to energize and galvanize your communities and move them together. And it just depends on the demographics you're reaching out to as well. And in this case, your young people, the digital aspect is very good for the younger demographics, and being able to hit them where they are and be able to capture them on the Instagrams and the TikToks and things like that, and then Facebook and Twitter. But also being out there in the rally aspects, it costs more, and it's a little bit more cumbersome to do. But it's that energy that you are able to pull in the groundswell you're able to do in those live settings that you can't necessarily always get from a digital perspective, that you want to be able to handle. But that digital perspective is where we go, so we can raise the money. We can get the money and get it quickly and fast. And that's where they're able to move and raise $200 million. Mind you, in 10 days. They didn't have the full month. They had 10 days. So she did something in 10 days that took Joe Biden to do in a year, that took also Trump to do in months. So that's how much energy she was able to inject into the system and into Democrats and across. And let's be frank, it's not just Democrats that are supporting her.
That's correct.
There are conservative white women that are supporting her right now. She's met with them. She's had calls with them, and they're out there with McCain's widow. I can't think of her first name. Chrissy, I think McCain's widow, who is spearheading that. And so she's out there talking to them about their issues and their concerns, reproductive rights, family, the economy, other things that are impacting them, school and education for their kids. So she's able to touch points on all these different demographic segments. So both are going to be powerful. Both are going to be powerful.
And to Michael's point, when you look back at 2016, white college educated women, by and large, voted for Trump. So it's significant because that's if she's able to win them over with a good surrogate, as Michael just mentioned, right? I think it's important because we need that, but we also need to, and I want to just say this, energize the African American community. Today in Annapolis, for my Annapolitans who are on, I had the pleasure of hanging out with the first African American alderwoman, Cynthia Carter, and there's going to be infused within our community right on Clay Street, a place where we can come to get all the voter resources. We're putting all those things together for our community. Why? Because we want people to be able to get the resources right where they live. We don't want it to be something that they say, oh, we didn't know it was time to vote. We didn't really know all the things. We're making it accessible. And so my thing is, we don't want it to be, November and people like, oh, I'm not energized. I'm, a lethargic voter base is never something that we want. As I'm the GOTV chair for our local party. And it's really frustrating, to be honest, when people say, hey, well, I don't see myself in that candidate. None of this changes year in and year out. And so my thing is just making sure that people have access. People have access to the information. People are able to engage where they are. And on us as activists and leaders, to really get this information out to the people so that their minds can be changed in our community, because we can be a force. When I think about a city like Philadelphia, they can shift Pennsylvania. Philadelphia can shift Pennsylvania. You look at the other counties and the Harrisburg, I'm a data girl, but I'm thinking about places where people are just sitting on the sidelines. We have to be the folks that listen. Come on, y'all. You got to tell what they say, lottie-dottie, and what everybody. I don't care who you are. Come on and get registered. And that's where I'm at with it. I'm not, even my family, people who are like, oh, I don't know. Listen, don't call me on November 6th and you talking about you forgot to vote.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Listen, don't call me.
Say that again for the people in the back.
Legs. Don't call me do nothing. We ain't going nowhere if you ain't vote, huh?
How about don't complain?
It's too much at stake. So
well, look, guys,
and I know it's Melissa's turn, but I want to say something about what Janice just said, because it bothers me a lot. Is that we always have this thing that we have to be energized about everything, or every aspect of a candidate and all this. I should not have to energize you to save your own damn life.
How about that? Let me
Oh,
give you one for
Okay.
that one.
I should not have to energize you to save, your child's education, or for you to be able to get, health care or things of that nature. Those are things I get the energy, it's needed, but I didn't energize you to go down the street to buy a fifth. I didn't energize you to go to the movies. I didn't energize you to go, down the street to go do something else or go buy your car, whatever it is. We have to energize, but at the same time, we have to energize ourselves. I think it was Yolanda Adams said, motivate yourself or encourage yourself. Sometimes we have to encourage ourselves about what we need and go out there and get it, but we're always looking for somebody else to do it. So I get the side that we have to do that and we have to meet our voters where they are. But sometimes we as voters have to say, you know what, too much is at stake right now. I got to get up and go do it. I got to get up and go do it. Right, Melissa, I apologize. I just need to say that. Go right ahead.
No, I'm glad you said it, because it is. I mean, we've probably all been doing this for quite a while. So there's lots of streams of thought and where that's concerned. They're like, why do I have to excite anybody? The only thing that I would say, just to add on to that, is that I think the only thing that we can do to increase that is to fill the education gap, because there's just so many people, and we know that this work and what government is kind of designed to have the least amount of participation as possible, especially with them trying to eliminate voters off the rolls here in Georgia. So I think that our lives are so busy. This is what we focus on, but other people are focused on everything else, just trying to put food on the table. So sometimes it is going to take us to kind of shoot them and let them know how this affects their lives personally and why they should be invested. And not only that, but like how to navigate the information. I think one of the things that we don't have in this country that we need is voter education. State to state, we're voting different ways. There's things that I learned as a voter in my mid-20s that I didn't know at 18 when I went to the polls the first time. So I think that the only thing that we can do to try to bridge that gap is education. But I feel you, when I turned 18, I couldn't wait to vote. No one had to tell me to do it. I've never missed an election. So I get it. But I think that what drives you and what drives other people to the polls might be different things. So we need to do everything we can just to equip them with the knowledge, because I think that that's what stops a lot of people from coming. Because if they knew what we knew,
that is key.
That's key. Yeah,
that is key.
Yes.
If they knew what we
Melissa,
knew,
to
and if
your
they
point,
understood it, it would be great.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
No, to your point, and you talk about Georgia, I'm always energized whenever I feel humdrum about elections or whatever, and it happens, right? Because we're in the mix of this thing. I go and watch that documentary that Stacey Abrams did, All In, The Fight for Democracy. If you have not seen that, that is one of the most comprehensive pieces on the history of voting in the United States of America. All In, The Fight for Democracy. It's about an hour long. You can get it on Prime or whatever. But I would encourage anyone watching this video. Huh?
Is it called Fight to Vote? The Fight to Vote?
It's called All In, The Fight for Democracy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, and I used to play it for students. And, when you talk about the folks who could vote at the inception of the founding of our country were white men who owned property. And then the ways that we have evolved, they don't know those things. So it's intriguing to them, like, oh my gosh, this is how far we've come. I think voter education is very important. So we're going to be doing a lot of that in Anne Arundel County. Lots of organizing going on, and really excited to make people really take ownership over the fact that you have a right, your civic responsibility to vote. And so we're really going to be pushing that.
And to add to what Janice just said, I mean, North Carolina, Wilmington, North Carolina, black folks just got the right back to vote in Wilmington, North Carolina in 1974.
Good Lord.
Wow.
Really?
I mean, these are things that we got to understand and recognize that has been going on in other parts of the country that we didn't recognize or realize is happening. I mean, our the Civil Rights Act, at that point, remember we was counting jelly beans and marbles.
Right.
And we was, they told us we can vote, but they weren't letting us vote. So it wasn't until 65 when it was really something where we can actually do it and do it in unison. We have to recognize it's only been 50 years. If it was 50 years, 5 years, that we as black folks have really been able to participate in this process. And that's why it's so important in recognizing, as Melissa said, we have to educate ourselves and be educated and understand it. Look, If it wasn't so important, they wouldn't be trying to stop you from having it or getting it.
Say it again.
Mhm.
Okay? Plain and simple.
Mhm.
If it was not so important, and if it was not as powerful as we understand it to be, Trump wouldn't be saying, just do it this time, 4 years later, you won't have to.
Right.
If it was not so important, we would not be having the issue where they're saying once you get convicted, you can never vote again.
Right, exactly.
It's
All
Section
these
4
things are there to make sure that us, don't have that opportunity, because this nation is changing. It's getting browner. And if it's
Yes.
getting browner, we have a choice to make. Are we still going to be at the bottom of the barrel economically, socially, and politically? Or are we going to be at the top? And right now, we have a young lady that's going to be at the top that we have to not only push up and help up, but we got to hold up. And then we also have to be able to climb up with her so that we can make sure that we bring everybody with us. It's time out for the crab in the barrel bullshit that we've been dealing with for the last 200 years.
Amen, my brother. Hey, well, look, we're
Amen.
getting down to the last question here. I'm gonna just add something. And Q, won't you read the question? And I'm gonna add something in there, as well.
Yes. Well, we're gonna involve all panelists if possible here, but talk about the raw energy and organic momentum of the Harris campaign versus the Trump pessimistic doom and gloom energy that makes you feel mad and angry. I mean, are we ready to be inspired instead of that same old? He goes to the same playbook time after time after time. But has America grown tired of that?
And then with answering that, if you guys can just give us some closing thoughts on, what you think about the whole situation and what you want to leave the people with, more or less. So we're gonna start with ladies first, Michael, if you don't mind. We're gonna go left to right on your screen. Melissa, why don't you start off?
All right. Well, first of all, thank y'all for having me on here. I appreciate it. And I wanted to just shout that out. One of the things that Wall said today that I listened to, he said that hope is the most powerful thing in the world, but it's not a plan. And I thought that was pretty interesting. He actually also credited his wife for saying that. And I really appreciate, especially when male politicians speak kindly about their wives in a way that is respectful and just endearing. So that resonated with me today, and so I wanted to share that. And I think that we have definitely all said that the American people are kind of tired of this angry rhetoric and giving me somebody to be angry at. I'm one of the people. I represent poor white people. I'm working one day to not be poor white people, right? But that's who I identify with the most, and that is why I think hope is so important. It's important to know that we do have the ability to climb the economic ladder. That if you work hard in this country, you can achieve the American dream. And I think that is not the message that we get from the right. I think that hasn't been the message from the right for many years. So I think that we need to continue to talk about things like affordable housing, access to quality health care, the things that really matter at the end of the day to keep our families safe and ourselves safe. So I am all in with Harris and Walls. I'm going to do everything I can between now and the election day to make sure that we shatter that glass ceiling. I saved and recorded the last time that she was sworn in as VP because she shattered that glass ceiling. And I'm so excited that I will hopefully be able to see that again, that ultimate glass ceiling and what it means for overall implications for America and women in general, women being taken seriously, women, taking the leadership role that we know that they can all take on. So
Do you think that? And I don't mean to throw another question at you, but
no, you're fine.
I gotta ask you: do you think white women because it always baffled me that any woman could vote for Trump. If somebody told us brothers, hey, we're gonna do something to your privates and you were not gonna be able to do your thing, or brothers would be outraged. You know what I mean? So I'm just, no matter who said it. So I'm just saying, as a woman, white, black, yellow, whatever, do you think that white women would say, look, I'm going to vote for this woman, to hell with this?
Yes.
I'm gonna be a closet Kamala voter.
Yes. I would say that some of that happens already. When we're knocking on doors, there are situations where they're like, "My wife's not a Democrat. Why are you here?" So there is when we texted and when we were trying to turn people out using the freedom message about women's right to choose. Someone wrote back and they said, this is her husband, and I was like, well, I didn't text you. Where's your wife? So I think that there is a lot of opportunity, and I will say that the support that we're seeing on the ground, I'm seeing a ton of white women flood into that Facebook group that I told you about earlier in the call, and I think that there are going to be, and we'll go ahead and say it now, I'll say it as a white woman, that there are going to be people, like Janice said, that who've already made up their mind and there's a certain level of cognitive dissonance that you have to be able to support a Donald Trump ticket or any of his values. You have to have forgotten that he's been held accountable for sexual assault, all of the things that, grabbing them by the kitty, that kind of thing. I think that there's a ton of things that should have been deal breakers for Trump, and they weren't. But I don't think that playbook is going to work against Kamala and Walz. I think that Kamala and Walz are ready to come at it from a different angle, and I'm hoping that my fellow white women are going to vote with me this time around, and I'll do everything I can to make sure that happens for sure.
No doubt. All right, Janice, closing thoughts.
Awesome. This has been a wonderful show, The Knight Brothers. You guys, thank you so much to Michael and Melissa. Thank you so much for keeping the conversation wonderful. Listen, a couple of thoughts just come to mind. We have to do our civic duty. All of us on this call, all who are watching, we all know at least 10 people who are unenthused about the election. And they probably know 10 more people. And so if you are in that space, I think the responsibility is to at least encourage and to make sure that they are registered, to make sure that they have all the information. We have to individually hold ourselves accountable. Melissa, you said something that really stood out there, and I'm just going to name it. Like, even within the Democratic Party, we call ourselves the Big Tent Party, but in the local races, you can see it more. How people would rather support a mediocre white male than a very competent black woman. And I think it's important that as we look at this presidential race, it also trickles down to how we engage at our local races. So I'm saying that it's very important that we unpack and we look at our hearts. Where are we as people? Because if you would rather vote for someone knowing all of the ills that they have brought to society just because they are a man, I think we need to certainly think about that. And I'll say this. The Republican Party has put out rhetoric, and I'll be honest, there are people who truly in their hearts believe in Donald Trump, and they believe in what he's saying. So we have to acknowledge that a thing is a thing. We can't say that, it's not a reality. They believe that. They have used the Christian, extremism, and I'm a good church girl. But I know the difference, and what they're using, I think is unfortunate because people are saying, well, I'm not going to vote Democratic because I'm a Christian. Well, I think that people should really unpack that because that's a lot of fear mongering too, and understanding, and really look at the person, look at Trump and what he's doing. Are those Christian principles?
That's
so
right.
we certainly want to make sure that we're not being caught up in that nuance. And so I'll just end with that. Again, thank you all. Hopefully in the future, we'll be able to talk about Project 2025. You guys, listen, check that out. Make sure that you are understanding this piece. It has been around since 1973. There's nothing new. The Heritage Foundation has been putting this forth in every election cycle. And so in the next go round, we'll be happy to share more about that. But again, Knight Brothers, thank you guys. Wonderful job.
We're bringing you back for that. We're bringing you back.
Oh, okay. All right.
As a good church girl, as you said, is he the great deceiver?
Say it again.
I said, as a good church girl, as you said it, is he the great deceiver?
Oh, come on. He's a deceiver of the brethren. Wait a minute. Come on. I'm ready for him. And I tell everybody that Kelly's laughing. We go to the same church. Listen, I tell everybody, you want to say, he believes in, no, for real. He can quote a scripture, but look at your heart. Out of the abundance of the heart is where we see it. So if you look at his actions and the ways in which he is engaging, the ways in which he treats people, I don't find that to be Christian principles in my Bible that I'm reading.
At all.
Somebody said amen.
Amen.
So,
Amen.
The
only interview I saw where he was asked about the Bible, he said he'd rather not share because it was private.
He'd rather not share.
Right.
Practice.
He doesn't know.
Wait a minute.
There you go.
He doesn't know what it said. Yeah.
No, he doesn't know.
All right, Michael, look.
He's stuck on 2 Corinthians. He's still stuck on 2 Corinthians.
2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians went to a bar and held the Bible upside down. Well,
Right.
anyway, Michael, you can shut us down. Shut us down, Michael. Close us out with your thoughts and any comments you want to leave the listeners with until we have our panel number 2. And we're going to try to do these every month leading up to the last month of the election. So go ahead, Michael.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for having me. Thank Janice for suggesting or including me in this. Melissa, thank you as well, and keep doing the work down in Georgia. We need you, my sister. It's real. It's I mean, what we have to recognize is that every election matters, and your local elections matter in your states. Sometimes we get caught up because we're in a quote unquote blue state or something like that. We can't get caught up with that. We still have to do what Janice says, our civic duty, and respond, because at our local levels, you can elect judges. So if your cousin, your brother, or somebody else is, in the penal system, that judge that you elect is going to be the one that's going to determine their sentence. Now, we can't do that at the federal level, but what we can do is make sure that the senators that we elect, so for those in Maryland, you got to elect a sister in Maryland, right, to make sure that she's up there so she can have the understanding of what decisions need to be made to make them. And she's not just going to go straight because of the straight party line. I wish we did that as Democrats, but we don't. And it's unfortunate because Republicans stay on that straight line and they don't care who it is. That's why you can elect a Donald Trump and don't care. That's how you can elect someone, a white woman can say, but I like his policies. Well, his policy is to take away your freedoms. You like his policies? You're not. I don't want to listen to his rhetoric, but I like his policies. What policy does he intend to put in place that you like? What is it? And it's the border wall. It's the immigrants. Okay, well, we take away all the immigrants. Then your husband's restaurant is not going to work. Your husband's farm is not going to work. Your mechanic is not going to work. I mean, let's be real about this. So we have to be recognized. We have to recognize that while we may have some issues with certain parts of segments and issues, we have to understand the principles behind what we're doing. And as Janice said, search our heart. As Melissa said, understand and recognize where our value systems are and be able to move forward with that. Because when we don't do that, we shoot ourselves in the foot. I don't understand how anyone, especially white women in the Republican Party, can vote for a man that has told them what he's going to do to them and their family. Right. I don't understand that. But it's not for me to understand. It's for me to make sure that I do what I need to do on my end so that me and my family, as far as me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord, right? So as me and my house, we have to be able to vote and it's good conscience for people who we can recognize that, one, we can hold accountable, and two, has our best interest at heart. They may not be able to do everything we need them to do, but at least more for than against that they can do for us. And just everyone needs to get out there and vote each and every time. As much as you may not understand it, the more you vote, the more you start to understand. And read the material that comes to your house. When you get those mailers, read that stuff. It's going to tell you what they're going to do.
Say it again. Say it again, Kelly, please.
At least once, before it goes in the trash. Just read it once.
Right.
Well, at least one time. Listen, at least one time. Read it once.
If they knew to the design and the time to put that 6.5 by 11 mailer in front of them, they're going to use the coaster. Right. Wait a minute. They're going to use it as a coaster to put their soda on. Listen, read it, please.
Read it. Because it's going to give you the information you need. It's going to give you the information you need. So thank you very much. Get out there and vote. Don't sit on your laurels. Don't rest on your laurels. Get your butt up. And if you're not motivated, get motivated.
Amen, brother. I love it.
If you need Black women candidates to donate to in Georgia, just let me know. I'll point you in the right direction.
All right. And to all the Anne Arundel County and the Maryland folks, please vote. Angela also Brooks, vote for all your judges. Listen, we got to get this done. Vote for your school board candidates. You'll be seeing more information, but at the local level, we have got to vote up and down the ballot. We got to make this thing happen.
Amen. Amen.
And if you're in DC, vote for me, Kelly Michael Williams.
There you go.
I'm in the city, brother.
For this, as we move forward, you guys have been incredible as panelists. We've enjoyed you immensely. The amount of information you shared with us tonight has been top notch.
Amazing.
And just absolutely amazing. Our audience really love what you had to share with us tonight. And as we said, this is part of a series. So guess what, guys?
See you
That
back
means
soon.
you'll be back again sometime soon, very soon. So
We'll see
count
you
on
guys
it,
soon.
please. I hope to have you back very soon.
All right. On behalf of the
Thank
Night
y'all
Brother
so
Show,
much.
we want to thank the audience. We know it was long, but I hope you got a lot of value out of this. And thank you to our panelists. And until next week, when we be on a different subject next week, we'll see you guys. All right. Peace and love, everybody.
Peace and love. Share the show.
Thank y'all. Y'all be
Be
safe.
well.